Okay, good. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Thank you so much for coming in to hear this sharing session. Basically, it's just being motivated by a lot of questions. People would think that this is something so difficult for them to do, but actually, inshallah, I think by the end of today, in a matter of in 1 hour's time, hopefully you all will find that this is one of the easiest software to use. Okay, now at any point in time, if you have anything, just kind of like raise your hand. I could kind of like see because I have the view with me. Okay, so first off, audio editing using DAW. Okay, DAW. Okay, so course outline for today, very quickly, is going to be first thing first, introduction to the digital audio and what is that and what is DAW. Some housekeeping and directory structure that I would like to suggest. Getting to know the DAW itself, the Reaper GUI. And then there's a practical session where you can actually load and then how you can cut, glue, and so on. And then we have the multi-tracking, and then we have the practical on the reverbs, echo, voice thickening technique, and so on. It's going to be very hands-on, so I think that's what we want it to be. It's not going to be me talking, you just listening. That wouldn't be benefit, but yeah, the first 10 minutes probably I'll be talking and you'll be listening. All right. First thing first, okay. This is not a training for professional audio editing, even though the DAW can do that. Definitely, it can do that. It can. People have been producing albums using this particular software. It's pretty powerful. And I know our brother Shah and his family are family of musicians, and I'm sure if I would probably want to go beyond the basic session here today to help them kind of like into the audio editing. That is definitely the main motivation for them. And it will be just enough information for basic editing, just for now, then just for today, okay? Just to get to know. But after this, actually there are tons of tutorials on Reaper out there, but this is just a very quick introduction to give you the confidence. If there's anything you are not sure of, just stop me to get the clarification. We try to keep it simple as much as possible, but if I get too technical, which I can be sometimes, please also stop me. That's not the intent down here, because it's not going to be an audio editing for the technical people. And yep, if you have not done so, load up the Reaper software so that you can have a feel of it. And please, if possible, use a mouse. You definitely need a mouse to navigate. It will be much, much easier. The editing can be more effective using a mouse. So then relax, grab a cup of tea if you have not, and let's begin. Okay. Now, the blooming of a flower. Now, it's something very, before we really get deep into what is analog and what is digital, let's take a look at this picture. Now, as we look at this blooming picture of a flower, okay, the question I would ask would be, is this a real flower or is this just a digital flower? Right? Definitely you would know that the answer is this is a real flower, blooming, being captured by a computer, and it end up in the digital domain because it's been recorded by a video camera, whatever that is the mean. So basically, is actually this is a real picture. It's a real flower, but it's in the digital form. Okay, what we can also say that this is what the real world is an analog, and actually we're just viewing it in a digital form. Okay, so it's an analogy that I put up front because I want you to understand whatever we are doing, even though we talk about digital audio editing, it is actually we are talking about editing the analog, the voice, the real voice of the human. We are not going to edit things which is purely digital. So the fundamental is that you need to put your voice into this device so that from there you can manipulate it. Okay, so it's just an analogy of this blooming flower is like your voice or the audio content that you're going to do the editing. So what is digital audio then, right? So basically sound is naturally an analog, which is our vocal. So always think that whatever we are doing is analog. We cannot see sound in its natural form. There's no way we can see it, you know, but we can hear it and we know that there are sounds, okay? And basically, human fascination with sound dates hundreds of years ago, okay? And to store and repeat the sound has been a never-ending process. See, that's why you remember this. I kind of not remember the name, but you can see that in the olden days they tried to replicate sounds, right? Uh, so that they can continue to hear and listen and repeat those beautiful melodies or beautiful renditions of something that they like. So in modern days, audio are, instead of we convert to this machine, they are converted into a digital form, and that is what we are actually learning today. And we are actually part of the people of the 100 years of traditions of getting audio and then try to manipulate and edit them and store and share. Right. So it's still analog, but represented in digital form, so that we can save, edit, share, and distribute it. Why? Because this is to allow for others to listen to the sound wherever, whenever in the future. So you probably know that we have listened to some of the singers who have kind of like long gone, and we still appreciate them. One fine example will be like the songs of our Piramli, right? We can still listen. Or some great Qari, Syekh Abdul Basit. We still can hear them today, and we can still learn, in fact, actually. So this is why we do what we are doing today and what we are trying to do. So we are leaving our legacy for our knowledge, wisdom, vision, information, culture. It can be a lot of things. It can be a lot of many things for our next generation, for tomorrow generation. Sometimes when we do something, we work so hard and then we end up looking at it as like maybe there are not that many viewers. But it's okay because we are not going to create for something that is just used for today. It's for the years to come who maybe appreciate and understand what we're trying to share today. Okay, then now that we understand what is digital audio, is basically the analog converted to digital for manipulation, then the digital audio workstation is the process of that manipulation of the digital data. Okay, so visualize the sound in graphical form. So as you go into this journey, you're going to see a lot of this kind of waveform. This what we call a sound wave. Okay, then once we have in this form, then it allows the track to be split and trimmed. So we can cut, we can join, and then possible also to duplicate as many times, modify, add effects, and so on, and then to produce a new outcome, and then eventually it can be listened to. Okay, so that is basically what we're going to do. Take the analog form into digital, which most of us have been doing unknowingly by recording our voices, doing our video recording. We have been doing that, but just that now we break it out slowly and then we are doing the manipulation. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay. Okay, so let's dive into the DAW itself. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and I'm just going to do any questions so far? Everybody doing good? Okay. Any? All right. Got anything to ask? Yeah, just unmute and ask. Anything? All good? How come I'm seeing twin? Shah and the son. Okay, so I'm going to share the next item, which is the digital audio workstation itself. Okay, where is it? Got so many things open up. Oh, okay, there you go. Okay, I'm just going to remove this for a while. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the DAW. This is what we call as the digital audio workstation. If you are on Mac, you would just see what I'm sharing. You will not see the menu. Okay, it's okay, not to worry. If you're using on Windows, you probably could see all the menus at the top of the screen. So the DAW is breaking up into the work area. Okay, this is the work area. Okay, ignore this. As I said, 90% of the function we are not going to use. Okay, so that I hope will give you a very good relief. And this is where we call the tracker control. This is where we are going to control the volume and so on. So the first thing to do is, this is an empty DAW or an empty workstation. So the first thing to do is actually to put in the music that you have recorded. So the recorded materials can be in a form of, you record it through your microphones into the system, you record it through your handphones as a voice, or you probably downloaded YouTube videos maybe of some great qari or some great lecture, and you think that the lecture is 2 hours or 1 hour is too long, you just want to trim certain information from there, you can also do that. It can actually takes in an MP4, and then it will just read in the audio and ignore the video content for it. So how do we load in the Windows or the track, the audio track into this? So if you realize, I did give the exercise for you all to download. Okay, if you have downloaded that, you probably have seen there are some files there. I do have some structure. Oh, okay. Sorry about this. Okay. So how do we drop in our, okay, let me just, okay, just a moment. Let me just do some cleaning up on my side here. Okay. Okay. So what you do is, if you have your Window Explorer, or in Mac is the Finder, right? It's just the files. You know where the files are. You know where you locate your raw files is. So what you basically do, in this case, I'm just going to click on the exercise1.mp3. I'm just going to click on that. Then I will do a drag and drop. Just drag and put it inside here. So you see, it's just that, and you load up the data. Okay. So when you drag and drop, see, in this case, the exercise 1. So you'll see that it will create for you what we call as the track. This is a track by itself. And then this is the starting point, end point. So in this case, you can see that it's not on the starting point. So I'm just going to move this whole audio data onto the 0 point. So what do? I just click and drag. Everybody got on that one? So the first step that you're going to be, you find that this is one of the best software that I love so much, because you just drag and drop. Okay. Okay. Now, once you drag and drop, this is just like your audio player. So you can see here, there are some controls. Move back. You see there's this, this line here. This is where that they are right now. Okay. In the timeline. And there are this time scale, how many seconds and so on. Okay, so just very quickly, you can just so-called move to the starting point, and when you click play, dan ingatlah ketika Allah menjanjikan kepada kalian, so you can bahawa salah satu dari rombongan, so you can hear the playback, right? Dan ingatlah ketika Allah menjanjikan kepada kalian bahawa salah satu dari dua golongan. Okay, so you can hear the output, right? Okay, pretty good. So this fella who did this recording, because he is so not fluent in Malay, so he ended up reading the book with a lot of mistakes. So in the normal case, if you're going to do that, you just keep on reading, but then you say, oh, oops, wrong. Then you have to re-record. So in this particular case, if you intend to do a DAW, when you do a recording, okay, I'm not talking about live, right? It's a pre-record. So you just keep on reading, and then you see, oh, salah. Okay. So what you do, you just go back to the beginning of the line, or beginning of that sentence that you're going to read, and just continue reading it again. Okay. It's like in this case, there are a few mistakes. You can see that if I can play back from here. Dan ingatlah ketika. See, that's dan ingatlah. Ingatlah. Oh, sorry. Dan ingatlah. See, it keep on repeating the same thing because it keep on creating mistakes. Dan ingatlah ketika Allah. Okay, so you can see there are many mistakes. So the first and the most correct one is usually the final one, this third one here, right? So what we're going to do, we are going to cut away. So this is the first command that you're going to learn. We're going to cut away the unwanted ones. And how do we cut away? So basically, if you want to cut something, you need to kind of like zoom it in, right? You go to this bar, the horizontal bar section here, there's a plus sign. Okay, you can just click plus. This will just zoom in to where you are. And then there's a scroll here. You can control them. Then you can see now. So you can click on any of the marking point. This is the grid point, right? I can just go to here. And then what I can do is there's this word called split. Okay, S is for split. So I just click this, I select this content and I say split. So now you can see that it is actually detached. Now it has been split into two. Because I do not want the beginning, I only want this point. Right? You can just, okay, I repeat one more time. See, now it's one piece. I want to delete that portion. I'm just going to do S and I split it. So once it's split, I can move this independently. And this is the unwanted one. So how do we remove this? We just select this and we press delete. And it's gone. Okay, so far? So this is what we wanted. So now you can see that if it's not in the 0 mark, so I'm just going to shift this. Okay. I'm just going to shift this now to here. So the earlier section that we don't like is trim away. We split it and we have deleted it. So that's how basically we split and delete the section that we do not want. So if I can play back now, you can
Dan ingatlah ketika Allah menjanjikan kepada kalian bahawa
okay, so it seems that is not the correct one to take.
Dan ingatlah ketika Allah menjanjikan kepada kalian bahawa salah satu dari dua rombongan, yakni kafilah Abu Sufyan dan
Okay, so that's not the one. That's not the correct one. So what do? We go to the same, another point here. We split it again. Split them. S for splitting. Split letter S. And then we select the unwanted ones. We delete. Take this one and just shift it over. And then move it back, the marker, and we play back.
Dan ingatlah ketika Allah menjanjikan kepada kalian bahawa salah satu dari dua rombongan, yakni kafilah Abu Sufyan dan pasukan Abu Jahal, untuk kalian hadapi.
Okay, so this portion, there's another mistake. Right? See?
Bukan Abu Jahal, untuk kalian hadapi.
Okay, so it's untuk kalian hadapi. Right? That's the word that we wanted. Untuk kalian hadapi. So what we do is, this is
untuk kalian.
And this also
untuk kalian.
Okay, so this untuk kalian is not good. Right? Correct? So we split this one. And then this is the one that we wanted.
Untuk kalian.
Right? This is the correct one. So we, at this marker point, we say split again. So what do we do now? We take this center one that we do not want and we delete. And then we take this section and we just move it and it will just snap together. So now when we play back,
Sufyan dan pasukan Abu Jahal untuk kalian hadapi, namun kalian menginginkan pasukan yang tidak mempunyai kekuatan.
Okay, so now this from the very beginning right to this point, it's perfect. It's what we wanted, right? But you remember we have this called the split here, that we break this and this is two pieces. We do not want that. We want that into one piece. So what do? We select the first one. You press the shift button to select the second one, like what we do for text and so on. It's the same thing. And then we just click, we do the right click button. Then you have tons of things here. But I want you to find this word called glue. Glue items. So now we glue them and now they are in one piece, right? They are no longer split into two. So you can trim, you can delete, you can take away the middle section and then you can abut them back and then you can glue them together as if it's one big piece. Like it never happened. The mistake was never happened.
Dua rombongan,
right?
Yakni kafilah Abu Sufyan dan pasukan Abu Jahal untuk kalian hadapi, namun kalian menginginkan pasukan yang tidak mempunyai kekuatan.
Okay, so anybody have any question?
Question.
Yes.
Besides looking at this bar, right, will we also be able just use this timing as a guide as well?
Yes, you can.
So it works both ways, other than only the bar, only this line, and the timing will be sufficient for us for guideline.
Yes. For example, you have a regulation that says, okay, we want this thing to be 4 minutes or 3 minutes. So you start to look for content. Maybe it's not mistake, but you just want only the optimal content to make sure that, you know, that 7 minutes of conversation or lectures is trimmed down to 3 minutes. So you have to choose and take away things. So that's you go through certain point, then you can just cut and trim, cut and trim, cut and trim, and then you combine them, and then after that, you just glue them all together. So that is also another purpose of this cut and trim purpose. So that you have like maybe 12 minutes or 15 minutes. So that when you do the talking, you are not too stressed about your timing. You only worry about your timing later on. And then you can just edit and take away some things that you don't like and so on and so forth. Okay. So that is the first step that we do. Then for example, we just want this section here and it stops to here, right? Just a simple example. And then we do not want the rest of the content. So what do we do? Again, the word as split, we split them here. And then this section that we do not want, we just delete. Okay. So this is what we wanted. That's all that we want. So how then we going to send this out? We bring that in, but then we have to bring it out. But first thing that you have to understand before we do the stream out, whatever editing and cutting and trimming that you're doing, it is the original files is not being destroyed. That means whatever that you recorded, if it's 15 minutes with all the mistake or with all the contents, right? And then you bring it here, you do all the cut and trimming, the original files that you recorded, it will not be destroyed. It will still remain as it is. Okay, so that is the reason, that's one of the most beautiful things. So you're not worried whatever that you're going to do, it will not destroy the original files. So you can do whatever you want. Okay, then you can just reload and so on. That's why when we, if you note that if you once you drag and drop, you will do some kind of like a file, editing record file, the Reaper files. They will always have the exercise 1.mp3.rearpics. I mean, those are the things that gets edited, belongs to Reaper. Okay, so that's the beautiful part. So you don't have to worry if you are going to do so, because for example, they have one recorded session of half an hour. They say, can you split it into 5? So it's no issue. You can just split, the original one will remain. Okay, so the next thing to do, if once we are done with this, so what we're going to do is we, at the top of the menu, I'm not sure whether you can see this, but you have this file, and then there's the word render. Can you see if I click file? You can see it? Okay. File, and then there's this, we'll get to save project later on, but I'll just straight away want to say render. Render is a process of whatever that is in the content in the workstation is now going to be moved out or taken out into the content that we wanted. Okay, so for example, we are done with this. So we browse for the directory. Okay, usually I have, I have not talked about the directory structures. Okay, never mind. We'll talk about it in a while later. Put, and I say file name, exercise 1, edited. Okay, so you specify the directory, you specify the file name, okay, and in this case, we wanted the entire project, whatever that has been edited. Now, over here, you see there's the word format. Under the format, you can actually choose whether you want a WAV file, AIFF, or MP3. The rest of the file format, you're not going to care because most of the time you're going to choose either MP3 or WAV. And in most cases, people would actually choose MP3 because that is the easiest and the smallest format, form factor. But if you are going to share out in, I think even podcasts, these days they take in MP3. Very seldom we do WAV, except if we want to do a very high resolution format, then we use WAV. But we come to that. But I think for now, this exercise, choose MP3. Okay, and then you just say render 1 file. That's it, done. It's rendered out. Okay, so once we have rendered out, okay, I think I'm going to stop sharing for this one, and I'm going to share Where is my find the? Okay, there you go. Okay, so now in the directory structure that we have done, so you can see that I have the raw, which is the exercise 1, right? This is where that I shared. And then there's the output that we something that we have edited. Sorry. Oh, okay, here. Exercise 1 editor. So this is the one that what we have done just now. The cut and trim and join and glue. So when we play back this one.
Dan ingatlah ketika Allah menjanjikan kepada kalian bahawa salah satu dari dua rombongan, yakni kafilah Abu Sufyan dan pasukan Abu Jahal, untuk kalian hadapi, namun kalian menginginkan pasukan yang tidak mempunyai kekuatan.
Okay, that's all, right? So that is basically about it on exercise 1. Basically, you take the raw material with a lot of mistakes, a lot of redos and whatever, okay? And then put it in, cut, trim, whatever you want to do, split, join them up, glue them up, and then you render out, and then that's it. You have that, whatever that you're looking for. Okay, so far? You want to, if you have open, I think I'll just give you like maybe 2-3 minutes to just play around with it, have a try. Any question, you just kind of like pop it up to me. I just want to make sure that you get that first portion good.
The folder is created by itself, and it looks like it.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, if I can share again my Finder. Okay, typically what I would do, I would actually have, like in this case, whatever that you want to call your podcast or so on. I would say this is a training material for this particular discussion. And then I would have certain things inside it. The main one, I would have raw. This is raw, means all the main things, the original recordings. And then I will have PROJ, proj, that is the project file. That is when we save, we're going to save into this directory. And then we have the output. So I usually practice this directory structure so that we know what is our original file and what is our output file, so that they are all consistent. Okay. And then, of course, we have other stuff that you might want to do, which we're going to do that in exercise 2 later on. Okay. Okay, let me see. So give it a shot, give it some like a minute or two for you to try out.
If we use other software, I think the terms should be almost the same, isn't it?
Yes. Basically, cutting, editing, basically it's just the same. So you master one DAW, another DAW is just a matter of the workflow lah. It's basically the same workflow. Irfan Maslan, macam mana, okay tak? Ni expert ni. Syah, okay Syah Should be very easy lah for you.
Okay bang, okay sangat. Very easy, yes.
Okay, good, cool. Okay, so can we move to exercise 2? Oh yeah, okay, I'll give you time.
Bang, I did a voice recording. I'm trying to drag and drop it, and they can not import file.
Okay. What is the format that you use? You see the format?
Yeah.
You can share the screen. It's okay. Yeah.
Oh, share screen.
Oh.
You just put recording. Okay, let me share screen. Host disable participant.
Oh, is it?
You have to enable. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you should be able to share now.
Okay. So I just use a normal recorder. Then the file location is the file location.
Okay.
Any format.
Okay. So you right click.
Right click, yeah.
And then properties. Yeah. Okay, it's the M4A. I think it's not being supported. So what you do during the recording, you can change the format to MP3 format.
Oh, I can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Okay, you try share. There's the word the share, right? Below.
Below.
Yeah.
Oh, below share. Share.
Oh, you cannot, because I think this M4A is a proprietary format, which is not.
Another option is maybe you can download a audio converter online ataupun a free audio converter then convert to MP3. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. How do you record this? Basically, you just use your laptop, right?
Yeah, I just use my laptop.
Okay, I'm going to show you how you can record actually directly onto Reaper.
Okay.
Instead of you drag and drop. Okay. Right. So what I'm going to do now? Let me see. Where is the Reaper? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So alternatively, what you can do, assuming all this is nothing, right? Okay. If you want to record audio onto Reaper directly, okay, you can do that also. If you're using USB mic or you're just using your laptop microphone and so on, you just double click here. Okay. You see there's a record button here. So record arm. Oh, okay. Hang on. This is going to get very complicated. Okay. So you guys can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Can I? Okay. So what happened here is you just press this record. Let me bring the bar here. And then I say, I would say recording. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. So it'll just like that. So it directly records onto the Reaper itself. And then you can see that it's moving. And then, that's basically how I do my recording also sometimes. I just get my mic and then I'll just straight away record and you can see that it's moving and you can see the bar and you can see the chart is being formed. Once you're done, you can just press stop and you just say save all. And then now you have this recorded that we just did. So if I go back, turn off this recording button here. And then now we just play back. So it'll just like that. So it directly records onto the Reaper itself. And then you can see that it's moving. And then, that's basically how I do my recording also sometimes. I just get my mic and then I'll just straight away record and you can see that it's moving and you can see the bar and you can see the chart is being formed. Once you're done, you can just... Okay, so this is easier to record, right? Because you straight away can kind of like see it. Okay, so there are other things that we are doing right now. That's basically how we convert our simple laptop or simple computers onto a recording studio. Is actually using this. Okay, so that's how it is that we record directly to here, and definitely then the data is here already, and you can straight away do the usual thing lah. You need to split, you can just split. You can select and delete. You can just move them around. It's pretty cool. Okay. I recorded this, so you guys can kind of like later on review it again one more time.
The format, is it auto or we can choose?
When you record, the format is in wave format.
Format.
Okay, but then you can remember when we are done, when we render, then you can choose whatever that you want, MP3 or wave and so on. Okay.
Sorry, just press the red button and then stop. Also press the red button again.
Okay, one more time. I know this is the first time, so first you press this red button. The reason for me pressing this button is actually to arm it. Arm meaning that, okay, this track I want to use it for recording. Okay, then move the needle to the beginning, wherever you want to do start recording, and then there's a second red button. This is the master recording button. Okay. Then when you want to start, you just basically press this red recording button and basically you have that recording going on. So then you start records and so on. And then if let's say for some reason you just say, okay, let's just pause for a while. Okay, you can just pause. Okay. And then probably get a different page or references and you're ready. Okay, then you just say unpause and you just can continue recording and so on. So once you're done, you can just stop and then just save everything.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So that's basically the direct recording, and then you turn off this recording over here. Okay, so that basically is what we are doing for directly recording into Reaper itself. So most of the time, I would advise go and directly record it if you want to conduct some lessons, because you can quickly or easily identify where you start, where you stop, where you want to continue, what you want to review. You don't have to like kind of like search all over the place. Okay, if everybody is doing fine, I'm just gonna do the second exercise. Hopefully we have enough time for these two exercises for today. Okay, so for exercise 2, what we're gonna do, again, we are in Reaper, started with a blanks page again, blank workstation. So we're gonna put exercise 2, okay? Just gonna drag and drop and then move it to the beginning section. So this is my exercise 2. Now, if you want to know the full content, all right, the full stretch of things, you can just, this horizontal bar, if you double click, it will show you the whole section. So in this case, this audio is about 2 minutes long. Okay, and then it started from here. Let's see what the content is about. Okay.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wa bihi nasta'in ala umuri dunya waddin.
Okay, so if this is the case where let's say you already have a beautiful set of audio that you like. Okay, you already cut and trim, or you already kind of like got the idea, this is what I want, this is the content that I want. But you realize that, but if we just use voice, it's going to get a bit boring. Okay, so we need a bit of intro, a bit of outro, a bit of suspense. So how are we going to do that? Okay, so this is what we're going to do for this exercise number 2. We are going to do an intro sound, music, and so on. So what we're going to do, if you have my exercise package, you have one subdirectory called effects, EFX. It can be anything. It can be music that you have, the music MP3 and so on. So in this case, I'm just going to choose one MP3, which is called the Nikin Arabic. And then I'm just going to drag it here. So now you realize that it will actually create another track. And this is the full music, right? Okay. So now you realize that, okay, wait, I want the music, but then my conversation is 2 minutes, but the music is almost 3 minutes. But I only just want a bit of it, right? Just want a bit of this music before I start the conversation or talking. So what do we do? So what we do is we can either do the split again, like the S and so on. But I know I just want the beginning part of this song. If we want to maybe give it a listen, just this song, I would just say solo S. Means only this track is being listened. The other one is being muted automatically. Start from the beginning. Okay, so I just want that few seconds of opening. That's all that I want from this 3-minute song. So what do? I kind of like goes to here. You see that when I move the mouse right to the end, I can just drag. Oh, sorry. I just click here and then I drag in. Okay. And somewhere around here, I just want the song up to this point here, right? So go back. Okay, nice. That's what I want. Now, if I open up this solo and I play back. Okay, so that's very messy because he started talking when the music does not end. So what do? You bring this up to somewhere in this section here or somewhere here. Okay, it's time to zoom in. You can zoom in by plus, remember? Or you can drag this here. So we just kind of like have this music end and then he talks. Okay. Okay, so we managed to get it. Right? We have the music intro and then we have the voice. But that is of course the first part. It's quite easy. But it's a bit abrupt. It's like macam suddenly the music pun macam mati terkejut gitu. And then terus dia masuk in the conversation. What if we want a crossfade? Meaning he started talking and then the music kind of like slow down, soften. That would be much a nicer approach. Right or not? Agreed? That sounds a bit more professional. So what we do is we have this function called fade out, or it's called a fading out function. So how do we do a fade out function? You get to the edge of this track here that we want to fade out, right? You go to the top right corner. You see the cursor will change, right? The cursor change to this shape. Then you click and then you kind of like drag it up. So you see now that the shape got changed. So what it means is that as the track goes towards the end, it gets softer automatically. Okay, you can even drag as much as you want. Or you can even put a right, when you is in this, you put a right click and then you can change to the many different shapes. I can even change to this shape, kind of like very nice curve. So now if I move back, so so now you see the fading out of the song, right? And then comes in by the voice. So now what I can do, I can actually move in the voice a little bit earlier, maybe somewhere here. So now I can just do this. Like that. It sounded much nicer, right? Okay, I can even bring in a bit more here, stretch it a bit more. You can just play around with it and then you can just kind of like listen to it. All right, so that's how you basically move in and move out. You say if they are actually in different tracks, they are not in one single line. Okay, of course, to the listener, eventually they just listen a single kind of like a single track. But during the programming part, when we do the editing, it's going to be in two different tracks. Okay, we can actually do this intro, and of course, we can also do the outro, right? When we are done, we also wanted this kind of like the same music like most of the commercial is doing. So what do? If we wanted this one to be at the end, right? So what we do is you can press, let me see if I can copy items, okay? And then, so now that this is copied, I can move my cursor here and then I say paste. So now we have the same thing from the start and then we have the end. So if we kind of like look at the end here,
dan kita juga tetamu kita yang pada malam ini adalah Ustaz Muhammad.
Okay, so what happened there? The music comes in a bit abrupt, right? A bit kind of like rough. So the very same thing, you just go to this top corner, carve it down. Okay, maybe change to something like this, a bit smoother now. And then let's listen.
Kita juga tetamu kita yang pada malam ini adalah Ustaz Muhammad Taufik. Khabar Ustaz Taufik.
Okay, that maybe is a bit too early, so I just kind of like shift it maybe here. Okay.
Dan kita juga tetamu kita yang pada malam ini adalah Ustaz Muhammad Taufik. Khabar Ustaz Taufik.
Okay, there you go. So basically you have the intro, and then we have all the way to the end, and then we kind of like have the outro. Okay, and then we have kind of like slowly fading in and then slowly fading out. Okay, the control is basically that you don't have to memorize any command. You just go to the corner top, sorry, here, you can just move them around. Here, you can just move them around how you want it to be. That's it. You have your intro and outro very beautifully done for you. Okay.
So it's not impossible to add in other audio?
Possible. You can add in an additional audio. Okay, let's say intro is one song, and then maybe in the middle here, or maybe we wanted sound effects. Okay, you wanted some other effects. Let me see. Okay, we have a background drone. Okay, maybe I can choose that. Okay, let's say I want a background drone. So I put it in here. So you see that this track 3 here. Okay, maybe somewhere in the middle of conversation. Okay, let's find something here.
Semula daripada semalam.
Okay, maybe that is something I want to create some suspense. So I just kind of like push this here. Just somewhere in the middle here.
Ni untuk membincangkan seperti mana topik yang telah kita iklankan semula daripada semalam.
The suspense.
Tentang isu halal dan haram.
You compress the audio, is it?
Sorry?
You compress the audio.
What do you mean by compress? Okay, no, I did not compress. I trim it. Okay, sorry. Okay, it's too long, right? So I just want maybe a small section of this. So I just kind of like take from here. I just trim them.
Oh, okay.
That's one way to do it. Or maybe I want something that is in the middle here. Remember, we can say S, and then I can take here another S. So I delete here, and then I move this to here. Right?
Yang telah kita iklankan semula daripada semalam.
So that's the way to do it lah.
Kita iklankan semula daripada semalam.
Okay. But what's the problem here? The problem is the sound effect is blocking, or is too loud. Or it's louder than the voice itself, right? So what do? What you do is, we know that this is the background suspension drone track, which is basically the track number 3. So this is, if you look below, this track number 3. So what you do is, you can actually lower down the volume for this. So now let's try again.
Seperti mana topik yang telah kita iklankan semula daripada semalam.
Okay, then you can just
last minute tentang isu halal dan haram. Tentang apa yang sebenarnya memberi idea lah kepada saya dan mengilhamkan untuk kita buat sesi perkongsian ini adalah.
Okay, so that's how you do it. But then we always do not like things to be very abrupt, suddenly. We want things to always smooth in, smooth out. So what do? Go to the edge, smooth in, smooth out. Okay.
Dan seperti mana topik yang telah kita iklankan semula daripada semalam. Maaf lahir last minute tentang isu halal dan haram. Tentang apa yang sebenarnya memberi idea lah kepada saya dan mengilhamkan untuk kita buat sesi perkongsian ini adalah
okay. So that's basically the stuff that you can do, right? For example, if you want some emphasis, or you want a break, right? Then you say, okay, after like talking a good 15 minutes, You see, let's listen to some qasida, for example, right? You can just kind of like break it in between. Okay. If I can give an example, maybe the same song, the Nikin Arab song. Okay. What I can do is I can take that, I can drag it again, maybe somewhere here, and maybe it's just a small part of the song that we would like to share. Maybe it's just this portion here, and just up to somewhere here. Okay, and then we put it somewhere in the middle. Okay, here. Okay, remember? Oh, sorry. Remember, it's always smooth in and smooth out. And then what happened is we know that this segment here, okay, is where we are going to break out for some qasida. So we split this, and then we kind of like shift this out to here, and of course we need to shift this also. Okay, sorry. Okay, we need to shift this out also. So now what will happen in this part here is it's going to sound like this. Okay.
Certification halal. Ada salah satu daripada kedai fast food di Singapore yang dapat tahu yang dia tidak ada.
Okay, so how this going to be helpful? For example, for podcasters, for example, you have people who sponsor you, or you want to help promote other companies for their product and so on. So halfway the conversation, you can even break and then you actually can just show the advertisements. Or you can, as I say, you can play some something relief or some qasida. Or maybe if you're teaching Al-Quran, right? Halfway through, they say, you know, maybe we should listen to Sheikh Mishari or some Sheikh Abdul Basit, or maybe some other beautiful Qari. Okay, let's hear how they're going to. So we can actually cut this conversation and insert in the different Qari and so on. So you have that flexibility to split, to reshape and so on, and then it just kind of like built on your story, the whole audio stories. Just very basic function of this software. There are many functions. I wouldn't want you to be worried about the so many different functions that is there. So just to conclude, maybe this is a bit too long. I can cut it to maybe just about here. Then I can select this. I can also select this one by pressing Shift. And then I just kind of like move it somewhere in this region. So once I'm kind of like, okay, this is how I want it to be. I'm quite happy with it. I'm just going to save it first. Okay, I will say save project. Oh, okay, sorry. Because it was saved before. So, okay, if I say save as, so you will search for the directory. In this particular case, podcast, then I would say training. No, where's my, okay, it's not here. So, okay, there you go. Audio editing training, and then training material. Then this is what I'm going to use, PROJ project. And then I'm just going to use the word here, exercise 2. Okay, and then I say save. So this project now has been saved. Okay, so when you load up, you just kind of like double click that project file, and you just load up the whole setting back here again. And then if you can still remember, once you are done with whatever that you want to do, you have to churn back out. Okay, in this whatever multi-track, and then you just do render. Select the directory. In this case, the same is in this training material output. Okay, we want to be consistent. And then in this case, not exercise 1, it is exercise 2. in MP3 format, and we just say render one file. So what it does, it combines all these multi-tracks and all these bits and pieces into one piece, which people didn't know that actually you have many tracks. Usually when we create music, there will be like 40 tracks that we have to deal with, all the small little pieces here and there. But this is basically what we can do. I mean, it's basic function that I wanted you to just understand for now. I think this is a very simple steps that you can follow and try out. I'm not sure if you all want to go into things like effects, like the echo effects and so on. If you want, I can continue from there. But I'll give you kind of like 2-3 minutes to digest this through first, and then before we kind of like continue to the next step. Any questions and so on, or you can just try it out. So in the meantime, let me open up the one that we have streamed out. Finder. Okay. Training material, output, exercise 2. Let's.
Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in ala umuri dunya waddin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, para pendengar, para penonton yang dimuliakan. Kita bersyukur kepada Allah. Kita berjumpa pada malam ini untuk membincangkan seperti mana topik yang telah kita iklankan semula daripada semalam, maaf lahir last minute tentang isu halal dan haram, tentang apa yang sebenarnya memberi idea lah kepada saya dan mengilhamkan untuk kita buat sesi perkongsian ini adalah kan beberapa hari lepas jadi ada sikit trending lah tentang tentang isu certification halal. Ada salah satu daripada kedai fast food di Singapura yang orang baru dapat tahu yang dia tidak ada sijil halal. Jadi menjadi satu tanda tanya jugalah. Kita tengok ada orang kadang-kadang kita masuk kat kedai, kita lalu kat satu kedai makan ni, kita tengok ada orang pakai tudung kat dalam. Ataupun maknanya daripada orang yang datang tu lah, ada orang Islam yang sedang makan di kedai tu. Jadi bila kita tengok tak ada cert halal pula yang gantung dekat temboknya, dekat kaunternya. Jadi lepas tu ada orang kata pula kita tak apalah, yakin je insya-Allah. Kenapa nak susah-susahkan diri, nak kenalah sertifikat dan sebagainya, kan semua perkara-perkara semua kita maklum adalah halal. Baik, jadi itulah yang kita nak bincangkan pada malam ini bersama-sama, dan kita juga tetamu kita yang pada malam ini adalah Ustaz Muhammad Taufik. Apa khabar Ustaz Taufik?
Okay, so basically that's about it. I mean, you have the beginning intro, you have the suspense, you have the in between intervals, and then you have the outro. So that's basically how you can control and you can basically manipulate however you like, and then you can just kind of like cut and edit and so on and so forth. Okay, everybody okay so far? Any question? Pretty good. Okay, I think I'm just going to do a bit more, maybe another 5 to 10 minutes. This is the interesting part, actually for musicians and vocalists. Okay, let me just stop sharing here. It's okay. All right. If you don't get it, I'm going to kind of like put this up into YouTube so that you can kind of like listen to it again. Okay. Let me see. Back to Reaper. There you go. Okay. So back to the same situation here. Now, sometimes we do realize that we wanted a bit more of the audio to be kind of like more forward, right? Louder. Okay, like in this case, actually it's a bit soft if you compare it to this song, right? You see that the vocal is softer than the normal music, and that is kind of like we want it a bit more balanced. Okay, we want the voice to be louder. There are many ways to do it, okay, and there are many different schools of thoughts. Okay, so I'm just going to share how I usually do it, that I find it a bit more pleasant to listen to, and it's easier to balance it out without. One of the ways people can do is, if you know that this is track 1, remember we do something for track 3, we know that it's a bit too loud, so we just kind of like push the volume down, right? But in this case, we can also do it this way. You can just push the volume up. Okay, so but there is one problem, right? If you realize is at the moment I pushed up the volume, you can see that the meter here, there's a red bar showing +1, right? If I push it up even higher, you can see that it is now +3 or whatever the number is. Now, this is not a good idea, because as much as possible, we want this to be 0. Okay, you can just click the red button here to clear it. We want to make sure that it is 0. It is not over. Okay, it is not over, because when it's red color means your vocal, when we do the rendering, the output will be distorted. Okay, so that is not what we wanted to do. So what are we supposed to do then? So what we're going to do is we are going to duplicate the voice. So you have to do you click on this track 1. On the top here on the menu, we have this word called track. You can see the word track here. You can see the drop down menu, track, right? There's a track, and then what you do is there's this thing word called duplicate track. So what we do is now we duplicate the track, and then now you can see that the track 1, track 2 is actually the same thing, but instead it is being duplicated. So if we play back now, so now the vocal is actually a bit, see, it's a bit louder, right? So if it's not, you just go back, select one of the track, and you say track, duplicate track. You can just keep on duplicating. Now, when you do this, what happens is the vocal becomes thicker and not just louder, but it's actually sounds nicer, and without even distorting any of it. I'll talk about the distortion on the final. That one we'll fix it later. Okay. So now you can hear this. See the difference, right? Okay, if you cannot remember the difference, I can mute the 2 tracks. Soft. So now if I open the 3 track, see, automatically the voice becomes louder, or in the audio term, it becomes more forward. It becomes more prominent, and it sounds better in the mix. Okay, now there's a whole kind of like big theory on how on it, but I just want you to know, if your recording turns out to be soft and you're worried, no, you don't get worried. We can fix that. Okay, you just keep on duplicating it. There are other ways, but just for now, duplicate. Okay, is the easiest thing to do. Now let's say you say now it's a little bit the next step that you realize that it's a little bit too dry. Sometimes we want it to have a little bit of a natural shine. We call it the natural shine lah. But of course, or maybe there is a Quran recitations, right? When there's all Quran recitation, suddenly you want it to be in an echo and so on. So what do? We can actually have a dedicated track for that. But in this case, I just use this track number 3 as the dedicated track for the echo function and the reverb function. So what do is, in this menu here below, this track here, you see there's a lot of these bars at the top here, right? So what you do is you just click one of them. Oh, sorry, okay. And then this will appear. Mine would have a little bit more than yours. So I just Cocos. Okay, I just click on this one first. This is what you have. Okay, this is what basically you have this. There are many functions. Okay, we are not going to use all of them. Just for this exercise, we are just going to use what the word called here reverb. Reverb. Okay, I'm just going to select this and then I would say okay. And then it will pop up this menu here. So in this menu here now, there's this preset. So if you click down a preset, you would have 2. I have 3, I know, but you have 2. Just stick to that. I'll teach you how to do the customization later on. So maybe I would just use the 2 that you have, which is Sweet Verbo. Just select that Sweet Verbo. Okay, so this is the verbo that you have. So what happened now, first 2 track is plain vanilla, the same as raw. But on the 3rd track, it has an effects plugin. It's called plugin. So this plugin is called reverb. So what would happen now if I play back?
Tanya jugalah. Dia tengok ada orang kadang-kadang tu masuk kat kedai lalu kat satu.
Okay, but then you realize there's really too much of reverb. Right? You wouldn't want that kind of too much reverb. So what do? It's very easy. So what do? We just bring this down. The volume level is actually the level of reverb that you want onto that voice, just to the point that you like. So if we are going to play back from here,
tiba-tiba orang baru dapat tahu yang dia tidak ada.
I can start from 0.
Jadi menjadi satu.
And I can slowly go in.
Tanya jugalah. Dia tengok ada orang kadang-kadang tu masuk kat kedai lalu kat satu kedai makan ni, kita tengok ada orang pakai tudung kat dalam. Ataupun maknanya daripada orang yang datang tu lah, ada orang Islam yang sedang makan di kedai tu. Jadi bila kita tengok tak ada set halal pula yang gantung dekat temboknya, dekat kaunternya. Jadi lepas tu ada orang kata pula kita
okay. So that's how you can add as little as you want, or you can add as much as you want. Okay. So that's basically a very simple function for reverb. That's all I want to teach you, reverb. Okay. And then that is basically how you control. That means you do not add reverb to your main audio recording. Because if you add that, it's very difficult for you to control the amount of reverb that you want. It's very difficult to kind of like modify. So usually we have a dedicated track, separate track, put the plug in, then you can control the amount of reverb that you want. That is a much easier approach. And I find it is much more convincing. Why? For example, you only want small section to have a very good reverb. Okay, maybe just this section to have a reverb, but not all this. I just want somewhere here to have reverb. Okay, just this. I want it to be reverb, not the rest. So I can just trim it that way, right? Maybe of all this conversation, this is the recitation portion which you want reverb. And then I would definitely want to push it up a bit more. Okay, so you can, let's give a listen.
Tanda-tanya jugalah. Dia tengok ada orang kadang-kadang tu masuk kat kedai lalu kat satu kedai makan ni, kita tengok ada orang pakai tudung kat dalam. Ataupun maknanya daripada orang yang datang tu lah, ada orang Islam yang sedang makan di kedai tu. Jadi bila kita tengok tak ada set halal pula yang gantung dekat temboknya.
So there you go. You have the reverb in and the reverb out. Very easily done. Right? You can select and trim right to the point. That is the only portion that you want the reverb to comes in. And then after that, you do not want the reverb anymore. You can do that and you can control that. So that is what the function of the plugin. There are many plugins. There are delay, there are reverbs. So you can even combine reverbs and delay and so on. So one last function that I would like to share with you would be, if you realize now on our master, okay? So this is all the track that we use. As much as possible, I don't want any rate. Like if this is a rate here, I will just kind of like bring it down a little bit here. But you look at the master here. The master is having a 7.8 or 7.7 dB higher than the 0, which is, if I'm going to render this out, this is definitely going to have a distortion, which is not good. So what do? In Reaper itself, again, you see this bar here, click it here in CocoS, and then find a function called rear com. Rear com, this function, rear com. Rear com is a short form for rear compression. Okay, so rear compression, it's so the menu will comes out here. Then you click on the preset. So there are many presets, snare, drums, and so on and so forth. What we actually just want is maybe select the vocal. Okay, just select a modern vocal. That will do. So what we want is this will now, if I am going to play back here, so you will realize that it will no longer exceed to the maximum level. And because there is this auto compression that is happening for you automatically. So that's how we can actually just keep on doing to the level that we want. And then later on, we add this rear compression at the end that would actually compress and prevent your audio from being over or your audio from being distorted. Because as you add audio, you add mix and match of a lot of things, it actually can become distorted. So we always have kind of like the rear com at the end on the master track to kind of like guard you from distortion. So that's what I have for today. Basically, it's a very simple basic function for now. Enough for you to play around all your data content. Yeah, I mean, you can make use of the exercise that I shared to kind of like play around with it and then get all the items that you want. To add effects, we already learned just to plug in rear, reverb, and recompression. You know how to cut, trim. You know how to kind of like add intro, outro. You can do overlay. You can do intervals. I think this is a very basic function, but it does not mean it's too easy. But I mean, it does not mean that it's too simple that it's not usable. Actually, even by doing this, it's really powerful enough. In most cases, people who ask me to edit their podcast, I just kind of like do this, and that's it. Enough already. But for music, yeah, sorry. Yeah, wait.
What about reducing of noises?
That's, yes, that one is the advanced technique. So what I would advise when you want to do your recording, please do it right. It's just like, you know, remember the flowers that I shared earlier on? How we see the blooming of the flowers is so beautiful. If the video recording was bad, no matter how you show it, it will not be beautiful. It's the very same analogy. Get your early recording, the first recording, the raw recording, to be as good as possible. Good meaning try to make it as quiet as possible. So sometimes when I say quiet, actually with me here, I have next to me is actually a window, and there's a roadside. Next to me is a fan. Okay, but you control your level. Sometimes people wanted the most sensitive microphones, but you're not in the studio, you're at home. Actually, you're going to kill yourself. Sometimes it's dynamic mic will be good enough, headset is good enough, but be in a quiet place, quiet room. That will actually give you the benefit. So the moment that the raw audio is good, then whatever you do with it, it's just going to get better. But if it's from the beginning, it's not that fantastic, we can try to improve it, but that will actually makes you have to do a lot of work. Yes, I can do noise reduction. Yes, I can do all this fancy stuff, but the audio quality will comes out not as fantastic as if you can did it as a good audio from the very beginning. Okay. Any other question? Good question actually. Yeah. Okay. If not, I'm gonna just stop sharing. Okay, so basically that's what I have. I'm targeting it as about 1.5 hours, so I think we managed to get it out. Trim, cut, save, render. We also can record directly. Okay, that's an edit function. I'm just gonna add that into the stuff. So what I would suggest, give it a shot, give it a try, give it a couple of weeks or days. I think for Shah, I know you guys are interested in music. I did a lot of music, so once you get familiar with this, we can do another session for music. So I would kind of like walk you through from how do we actually record the instrumentals or the piano, keyboard, or maybe even the drums, and then after that, how do we add the vocal from there? Yes, definitely. I think that's something interesting. But first thing first, get this familiar. Yeah. You don't need new software. You just need this software to do it. And then for advanced, we can even, like what I'm doing right now is actually going to go through MIDI controller. That's a different level of, that's pure digital. So yeah, that's another beautiful part. So you can even, this software, you can even do MIDI recording from here itself. And you can do MIDI editing, you can do loop, you can do a lot of things. As I say, what we just shared, 90% of the function is not being used, but it's good enough. And you can see that you can do your editing, you can do whatever that you need to do. It's quite easily. You cannot imagine doing it without this software, right? Even to search where to cut and trim and then to join back is already a big headache. Okay. So Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. Any other questions you bring in or you want to raise up? Any question? Welcome to ask. Alhamdulillah. No?
There's one more session, right? Later on.
Yeah, there'll be another session at 9. Basically those are for the rest of the guys.
Revision time.
Actually, it's been requested by a few people. Ustaz Shahid, Ustaz Irfan, Ustaz Shakir, Ustaz Nuzan. They wanted to do their own editing of their podcast. So, and I suggest, okay, let's just do it once and for all. And hopefully make good use of it. On the parting words, there is no content that is too little or not effective or not useful. Trust that anything and everything has its function and has its purpose and have its own audience. So just do it. Okay. All right. Inshallah. Billahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you guys again. Waalaikumsalam.
Okay,
any question? Any question again? You have the WhatsApp group. Just go ahead. All right. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Nice bird. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Welcome.